Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here, the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. So I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is right here at this area. So notice we have these couple legs down. We push up. We don't quite reach that measured move, but we do have a strong bounce, and then that ends up being our overnight low. And so when we get this higher low right here, we have to consider that we do have this downtrend right here. And so downtrend, break, first attempt lower, and you want to enter on the second attempt lower, not the first attempt lower. So if we could have gotten a second leg down like that, down to the overnight low, we could have definitely gotten a good long, but you don't want to enter on the first attempts. You want to enter on the second attempts, but either way, once we start pushing up here, you can drag this measured move over. So at first, you have this measured move, you correct, you can draw that leg, and once it starts forming a new leg, that's how you know the swing is there. You drag it over, and then you have this measured move in play. And since this is the overnight high, we come off the overnight low. That there is range rules because this acts like a range. When you come off one side, price will expect to reach the other side. And then when we push down again, at this point, this downtrend has a break and 2 attempts at a new low. So when we push back above very strong like that, that's telling you that the attempt lower is failing. So because it's attempting to make a new low, second attempt, pushing back above very strong, that's a failed second attempt at making a new low. And so at this point, we know that what's more likely to win out, this downtrend or the range rules. So we already know the range rules. When you come off one side, you're expected to reach the other. This downtrend already had 2 attempts, clearly failing. So we can go with the range rules in this case. Plus, we have this measured move in play. It's a failed second entry. I used a limit order slightly back to make sure I stay within that measured move, which the reason I did that was because this uptrend right here technically does have a break and a new high. You can still get a second leg, obviously, after that, after it makes a new high still. But there are a lot of longs who would exit after it makes a new high, and so I didn't want to risk pushing it through this resistance area because the measured moves do act as resistance. But I hope that's clear. We're expecting to reach the other side of a range. The downtrend had already had 2 attempts, clearly failing. Measured move in play, target to the measured move. So that's why I like that right there. We continue on higher though. We get to that overnight high. We start getting pretty choppy at first. We get this swing here, which is just this after this sharp up move. We get a second push higher there, but you can draw a trend line. It's still clearly very bullish at that point. I wouldn't want to just take the bounce. I would want to see an actual reversal pattern. And so we continue sideways for a bit. We push out, and then here we actually get that reversal pattern. It's a very big picture though, which is good. And so we have first entry long, second entry long, failure. So you can see that big picture failed second entry right there. And this also will act in another purpose because we have this uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, rush below the EMA, failure. So that's why I like that a lot right here because it has confluence on both sides. On one side, it's a failed second entry, which could also, you view it as downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. So you're entering on the second attempt lower for this downtrend, okay? And on the flip side, you're entering on the uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. So you're entering on the second attempt failure on the flip side while entering on the second attempt lower on the side that you're pushing off the overnight high, so you can expect to reach the lows. You can expect to look for shorts. You're entering on the second attempt lower while simultaneously the failure of the other side. That's the point I'm trying to make. So it's about having confluence there. So when we at first I saw that there was some resistance here, but it's such a big picture trade I didn't mind it. But we did end up making a double bottom right there and pushing all the way back up and making this triple top right there. I ended up holding. I was thinking, okay, it could just be a retest, which ended up just being that. We met that measured move perfectly, and and it was such a big picture trade that even after it made that bounce right there, after we, I wasn't going to actually raise the target or anything because after we started pushing back lower again, it's like this measured move is in play. The range rules, very big picture. It can get through a double bottom. So I ended up holding it. Plus the target was pretty far within the measured move there, so I was confident in it. And then we reached that measured move it's like almost to the tick before reversing higher there. And so if we could have gotten like a good failed second entry fading this range right here, because clearly it was going sideways, then that could have been good. But we just don't get anything. We just push on up to the highs right there. It's very sharp, and then it gets very choppy. And then here you get this first entry long, second entry long, holding above the EMA. And, by itself, it looks like a decent setup, but we have to consider, we did have this triple top up here, and it got very choppy in that area, so we could easily, tick higher and then make a failure, go back down to the other side of the range. So I'm not very keen on that. Plus, it was right after retesting the overnight high, which is a key level, very strong level. So as soon as we touch that, we got the second entry, very choppy. It could easily fail. No way I'm going to go long right there. We push up, though. We reach that overnight high again. We get extremely choppy. Just goes into a range. And then here, they get this first entry long, which to the tick, I can see there's a tick higher there. That's really just one leg down, though. You don't want to enter into that because it just came off the overnight high. Very strong push down, closing below the EMA. And then you get this higher low here with no room. Obviously, no room. But we are starting to form this larger uptrend, which you could easily have at this point. But that doesn't mean you can enter it just because it's off this uptrend, because it's also into this range high right here, and it's very sideways. So unfortunately, no reason to enter long there. We push on out. We immediately start attempting to fade. Notice we have this first attempt lower, break, second attempt lower. So you can see that second entry, obviously terrible signal bar, closing below the EMA. And it was pretty sideways, so just not clear anyway. We do push up a little bit before fading back down. Now this area here, I was wanting a clear reversal pattern, because if we could have gotten a failed second entry, like first entry long and then second entry long failure, like a clear failed second entry setup right here, that would also, in that setup, it would include 2 attempts higher for this uptrend. So uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. But we don't get that, and that would of course also be a perfect failed second entry. But instead we just get this lower high, which it's not a very good area for just a lower high, because you can easily tick lower, make a second attempt higher, and then it goes right where you think, because uptrend, break, you can expect 2 attempts at a new high, not just one right here. So anyway, we push down again, we push back up, so we have another early bounce. We had an early bounce, we didn't quite reach the overnight low here, happening again, so that's a sign that we're turning more bullish. Now we push on up here, we don't reach the EMA on that correction, so there's nothing there. Same thing here, it's choppy, not reaching the EMA. Then here we get first entry long, second entry long, but at the time I had this a little bit different. I had something right here just to see how this holds, and when I had it here, it was overshooting, and so I didn't want to buy and overshoot, not to mention this measured move right here. So this measured move was just met, immediately started bouncing off of that measured move. Notice this blue line represents the measured move there. And so you don't want to enter long into that right after it rejected it. It's a major measured move. But also we were starting to overshoot this, which it wasn't confirmed off the lows, but notice how we have 1, 2, 3 bounces off the highs, or 1, 2, 3, 4 bounces off the highs. So I just did not want to risk entering along with an overshoot that's at a measured move. That's extremely risky, because overshoots lead to breaks, and measured moves lead to reversals. So there's no reason to buy there at all. It's a terrible place to buy, in my opinion. Now we push on up, we go choppy here. Now this is different because you have a breakout pullback off of that measured move. So you break out, you pull back, you actually had 2 legs down, reaching that measured move, forming a clear range lows. I missed out on this. I was not in the room for the trade, but that clearly looks good. 2 legs back off these range lows with room to the other side, retesting this measured move level. EMA is holding, EMA is up. That's just telling you you're going to continue higher. And so I do like that just to the end of this range. You don't want to push it out of that. There's no reason to think that it's going to actually break out that far. You don't know if it's going to break out of this, but there is clearly a trade there. I wish I could have gotten in on that, but anyway, we do blast on out of there. We get a first entry long, second entry long. So a second entry below the EMA, right after it started getting choppy. That's not ideal, which let me see how this channel is. So yeah, notice how this channel is very spiking up. Channels do not last long like that. They healthy channels are more at this angle, like holding on this angle the whole time, but that is like a spike that cannot last for too long. So whenever you're just continually going up higher like that and it's just spiking up higher, be careful of like a sudden reversal or a huge break. So anyway, I was gonna say something that was relating to this trend. I don't remember. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helped you in some way, and I'll see y'all next time. Hopefully I remember that thing I was trying to think of just now.